I never mean to do this on purpose, but my aesthetic heart can't stop with the purple and the yellow. I'm just cute like that. Hello everyone, I'm Styleboy and welcome to my world, and today we're doing an autism Q&A. If you did not know, it's Autism Acceptance Month, and for the whole of this month I'm doing 2 videos a week, one autism themed, which is this video, and one non-autism themed. I thought a Q&A would be a good place to do this because I think we're like halfway through, and I thought it's nice to have your opinions and your input also. So I asked you guys on Instagram for the questions, which by the way, it is Styleboy 1.0, and in this video we're just gonna chill, we're gonna answer them, so just chill. Say something like grab a tea, but I hate teas. But obviously before we even start, subscribe, because I know you watching wants to subscribe. I just want to see this face every day. Without further ado, let's begin with the first question. The first question is from a fellow autistic, Celine. You asked, when you meet someone for the first time, do you find it hard telling them you're autistic? I think this is majorly to do with context. I think 100% the context, like what the situation is, can either be easier or harder for me. So for example, if it's more of a casual interaction, friend or a date, I find it somehow easier to tell on a date that I'm autistic. And usually if they act like a douche or a dick, and you could be like, well, no more second date for you. You're just missing out on all this. You're just missing out on all this goodness. I also have to say, in formal situations, I find it even harder. So for example, if it's for a job interview, although I was very confident for my job thingy saying that like, oh, I'm autistic, like what accommodations do you have? I think also in like environments I don't know many people, I find it even harder. So for example, when it was at VidCon, it was just me constantly going like, yeah, I make autistic videos. And then no one reacted. I was just like, it just made it more weird. But I think also for interviews, I find it one of the most difficult things. So for example, for uni interviews, I don't usually mention that I am, because usually there's somewhere in my CV, which by the way, that's a big tip for work or for uni. You don't have to explicitly say it in the interview. You can put it in your CV or your cover letter. But I do find it hard. I think definitely depending on the context. The less formal, the more likely I'm gonna be more comfortable. Next question from Micah. How do you cope with sensory overload? Oh, I should do a whole video on this. Wait, I kind of did. I did more about the triggers of what senses my sensory overload. Depends. Again, I'm very much like it depends. So for me, guaranteed, the best thing I do is always just take myself out of the situation for like minimum 5 minutes and just breathe and just let myself stim and let myself freely do anything I need to do, because that helps me so much, feel so much more comfortable within my own skin and within my own like identity in a way. Because most of the time when I feel sensory overload, it's usually during times with loads of neurotypical people around or people who aren't autistic, so it's harder for them to understand, you know, like it's harder for them to be like, okay, so we know when it is. So for example, I faced this a lot of time when I was at work, or sometimes if it like mentally if it gets too much. So I always take myself out of the situation for 5 minutes, I always breathe, I always like to talk about something completely off topic, like I mean something the total opposite end of the spectrum. So let's just say at work I'm feeling sensory over, talk about puppies with me or dogs or movies. You'll be really surprised how much that helps me, because it manages to focus my mind not on what's happening, even if I've left that situation, I'm still trying to like focus on calm myself down from the situation. So if you talk about something like completely off topic, it manages to get my mind away from it, and then it allows me to focus on like, okay, so what does trigger me? I always like to fidget with something. That definitely does help if I can't leave it. I think always telling someone definitely helps, and always music. Music is my lifesaver, so putting on music, it's so nice, and it's so much more helpful to just have music, because it honestly, it makes me feel better because it allows me to focus on the songs, and you know I love the music. Next question is from my friend Kendall. Hey girl, you asked, what is the most frustrating thing / reaction people do when you tell them you have autism? There are so many. My first one that someone does that frustrates the heck out of me, it becomes patronizing or treating me like a child. Firstly, I'm a 21-year-old. I'm 21, officially an adult. I can get a drink in America. I don't drink. Do not treat me like a kid, okay? It's so annoying because it's like, again, there are so many adult things that I enjoy that I know children wouldn't like. It's stupid. Like, you think that we don't grow up and autistic people stay childlike forever? Excuse me. And it makes me feel extremely uncomfortable because it's just like, I am here. I'm here. I don't understand it. I don't know how to describe it, but it just infuriates me so much. I have dealt with a lot of shit. A lot of autistic people have dealt with a lot of shit. Do not diminish that shit that we go through because we're childlike. And also, half of that shit that we go through is because we are treated like children and they think they can be ableist and we wouldn't notice. And then the most frustrating thing someone says is you don't look autistic, because they think it's a compliment when actually it's a cuss and I just want to punch you in the face. Just kidding, I don't actually want to punch anyone, but like, you get what I mean? I did a whole video on this where I was so frustrated. It really just like disrespects, in a way, autistic people's identity, and especially mine. Like this whole idea of like imposter syndrome and feeling like you are not autistic enough. I definitely also felt this for a huge period of my life. Probably like when I was 16 to like 18. It's because I can fit into a society that caters towards neurotypical people. That does not mean my autism is less. Next is from Bleeding Yokai Fox. You ask, what is the best thing about being autistic, even though I am myself? I feel like this is a good question because every person's answer is going to be different. Comment down below if you are autistic, your best thing about being autistic. Comment down below. And there's a whole list. I did another video on this. I'm extremely proud of that video. Watch that video also. If I have to say one of my favorite things about being autistic, honestly, I was gonna say the little things in life that just bring you pleasure and how you can feel stuff deeply. Now, granted, the feeling stuff deeply can come into a disadvantage in other points, but I think in so many other ways, like for example, my specialized interest being music, I think it can be so helpful because you're able to really emote to the artist and you can understand, although you haven't been through it, you know how they're feeling and you can really like feel it. Like for example, I managed to finally listen fully to Demi Lovato's The Art of Starting Over, Dancing with the Devil, and I really was like listening and I could feel everything she was feeling deep inside, and I was like, damn. But also like in the other senses, like for future nostalgia, I'm like having a ball. I'm like, bitch, yeah. In the other senses, like I can have really deep and meaningful conversations with people and I can understand people, and I think that builds such better connections in my eyes. So feeling stuff deeply is incredible. And even if it's for stuff that doesn't need to be felt deeply, like Tangled, like I will still feel it deeply because it's just something that happens and I love it. And I think because of that, it then makes my viewpoint of the world completely different. So when something is exciting, I'm extremely excitable about it. Like for example, something that's been around like cherry blossoms because of like the season, and I love cherry blossoms. The only time they're out, it just makes me smile and really excitable because they're, again, my favorite flowers. They're beautiful. They come out like one time a year and I just adore them. So that is one of my favorite things about it. The way we view the world because of how deeply I feel stuff. Next question. This is from Oritz Luis Sanchez. You asked, okay, I have autism. Is it normal to spend time to calm yourself down? And am I the only one? Actually, you're not the only one. It's like, I mean, I do this all the freaking time. I think, honestly, I do this all the time. It's probably one of the ways that I can make sense of what's happening. And I can calm myself down, especially with Miss Rona, being by myself. As much as like, I love being with others and I love being social and I love spending time with my family and friends and messaging people and all of that, I love to spend some time by myself. It allows me to be comfortable within my own skin. So if I'm comfortable in my own skin by myself, that means I'm gonna be more comfortable with others. B, it allows me to really express myself in a way, as in like if I'm feeling something, I can express it straight off my tongue, and I know that like whatever I'm feeling, I can understand what I'm feeling. It allows me to process how I'm feeling to the right core. It just honestly helps me get through life, especially when things are stressful or exhausting or make me anxious, or if I'm going to sensory overload or even burnout. I do need that time by myself to just stop, unwind, and just be by myself. And honestly, sometimes I also enjoy it. Like, I had the best movie day. I watched 2 films, which were both 2 hours long. I watched Spirited Away and Dreamgirls, and honestly, I was so happy. I've never seen those films before. I would highly recommend both. Both are incredible. But 2, it was also just by myself and I had freedom, and like, I was just having the time of my life. It allows me to be in my skin a little bit more. And I really like that. So yeah, it's completely normal. Don't worry about it. Like, you are allowed to be by yourself. Next question. We've got 2 questions from Dropkick Corpse. You asked, firstly, how can a newly discovered autistic get more comfortable in the community? I would say I'm gonna broaden this a little bit wider to anyone who's trying to just get more comfortable, because I feel like even me, who, again, I've been diagnosed since I was 2 but found out when I was 11, and only at the age of 20 I feel like I'm getting way more comfortable. So here's the best tips I can give you. 1, follow autistic creators. Best best thing you can do, not only are you then able to get to know someone who is autistic, so you are then able to understand your own autism a little bit more because you can see people who relate to you. Like, honestly, that's one of the best tips ever. But actually, autistic TikToks, which is the one I would recommend you to follow the most, and I'll explain why. Number 2, the reason why I suggest you to follow actually autistic TikToks is because not only do they have a range of people who they post, as in like people of color, autistic women, trans autistic people, like so many, but also look at the comment section, because you will see that so many people are going to relate to what you're feeling and to what they're feeling, and that means you are then able to maybe make some autistic friends, and that's definitely going to be helpful for you, just to feel like you're not alone in this. I mean, obviously you can also subscribe to me. It's so much more helpful, again, getting to know people who aren't creators but are autistic, because even that little step makes you feel more comfortable within your identity, and just know that you're not alone. I think also just take the time to understand yourself and just to discover yourself, because the more confidence you have within yourself, the more it will exude and the more you are able to communicate it to other autistic people. But again, like, other autistics will understand how you feel, and actually this community of autistic people are very opening and welcoming. So I would just be like, do not worry, do not stress, you are going to do amazing. You're doing amazing, sweetie. Another question from you, you asked, also, what is the best way of going about finding accommodations without a formal diagnosis? I think this will depend where you're going to find your accommodations. So let's do uni firstly. So I don't know about other unis, but for my uni, they were straight up like, if you feel like you maybe are autistic or dyslexic or have ADHD, there is like a specific test you can do, and they will be able to find the accommodations out for you. It's a little bit more formal, but it's not completely formal. And as soon as you have that, or just say to your student services, you should be able to gain the accommodation that you need. I'm not 100% sure though, because I have a formal diagnosis, so I'm not sure, but I definitely know that that can help you out, especially because the uni will then know of your diagnosis, even if it's not a formal one, and they are then able to support you, hopefully, and give you the accommodations you need. As soon as we get into sixth form and secondary, this one's a little bit more difficult, because I do think they want you to have a formal accommodation, because even I had a formal diagnosis and my accommodations were not met. I think if you're gonna try to, I think definitely discuss if there's a guidance counselor in your school, maybe discuss it with them or discuss it with your Senko. They should hopefully help you get at least some sort of clarity or help. And I'd also recommend for you to know what accommodations you would like. So for me, what I would like is for someone just to know that I am, firstly, just so if anything happens, they understand. Be more time to process stuff. If something is getting too much, for me to have the opportunity to leave and just be comfortable leaving, just because as long as I know mentally that I'm able to leave that situation, even if it's like, I don't know, it's too much stress, I'm able to breathe and calm down. And also for my uni at the moment, and especially if you do the student disability allowance, which if you are at uni, would recommend. Mine is actually having a guidance counselor and therapist kind of thingy. It's so helpful, because even if I'm struggling something during the week, they are able to at least clarify how to do the situation and how to help me, because they understand me a lot more, and it feels good. And I really would recommend, if you are able to talk to a guidance counselor or a therapist, definitely do so, because I didn't realize I needed it until this year. And if you're doing it for work, I don't know about work if you need a formal diagnosis, but for work, what it is mandatory to do is they should be able to give you accommodations. For example, I don't know, maybe for you, if there's too many people around you and it's too busy, you get more stressed, so you want to work in an environment that's a little bit more quieter, but you know that you're still going to work and you'll thrive better. That's why. No matter what, your job wants you to do the best as you can, because that's how they're going to make the most money. They should be able to do accommodations, and if they don't, not worth it. Okay, I'm not the expert at this, so I don't know, but hopefully that at least gives you some sort of clarity. Next question is from Cliff Edmonds. You asked, what's your experience balancing being queer and autistic in both spaces? I actually was thinking about this question a lot. And the next question, if you didn't know, I'm gay and I'm autistic. So I'm a queer autistic, bitches. So I feel like I can explain this better than how I was before. So basically, being both autistic and gay, in both spaces you feel like you're not enough of each other. So for example, because of my autism, I feel like I'm not gay enough, and because of my sexuality, you feel like you're not autistic enough. Again, that is not the case, and I think it's something that I have to remind myself of. It's because you want to try and be accepted into both communities as much as you can, because you already feel like an outsider to what is societal norms. But then I think the best thing to remember for me that is so crucial and helps me so much is that I am a unique individual member of both communities. Like, I'm a unique individual member of the LGBTQ+ community, and I'm a unique individual member of the autistic community. And actually, a lot of people in the autistic community are part of the LGBTQ+ community, so I feel even more included, which makes me feel even better. And with dating also, I haven't had a bad experience with men being like weird or awkward about my autism, which makes me feel so good. I already know if someone is weird or strange about it, I'm already like, it's enough perps. I wanted to say that because I feel like this is way more better. And the last question, which comes from Malfoy.Draco, you asked, how might autism affect the experience of gender/manhood? I'm trans and feel very confused. I hope your journey is going amazing and you are able to do what you feel like makes you feel the most like your gender. It can be confusing. And even for me answering this question out, I am a cisgendered man. I don't have the same experience as gender as a trans man, and I'm not speaking over other trans people and other trans men. Oh my god, no, and other trans autistics, nah. But I am just speaking from my personal experience with this. So I guess because in that way, ever since I was younger, I've never really followed the stereotypical man masculinity thingy. I never have. And that could be because of my autism, but like also it's just because of who I am. I have a lot of feminine characteristics with my personality, also my style and the way I present myself. And that's probably because of the way I also got brought up, as in like, because of my dad. He kind of showed me when I was younger that you don't have to follow these like stereotypical norms to be a man. You don't. Being a man is who you feel comfortable with it inside yourself. That is completely cool. Now, for me, and that kind of led me to growing up and just kind of being comfortable with myself and how I choose to express myself a lot of the times, because even when we were in school and I got bullied because I appeared more feminine, I still was just being me, because at the end of the day, it's like the way you look and the way you act has nothing to do with who you are inside of you. For example, I know I'm a man. I don't care if I'm wearing nail varnish, makeup, whether I'm in a freaking crop top, I'm still a man. That's what I identify with being, because to me, being a man isn't about the way you look or the way you act. It's about being comfortable within your skin. And it's about being comfortable within your identity and about choosing to express yourself in the way you want to. And it's about being there for others, about what you feel comfortable with doing, being comfortable within your identity. And I know for autistics, this is an abstract concept and they can be confusing. I guess in that sense, it's just taking the time to process how you're feeling, because whatever you're feeling also about being confused within your identity, completely normal. What my best tip I would give for you is to follow other trans people, and if you are able to talk to other trans people, do it. But also if you're able to follow other trans autistic people, please do so. I really hope my answer like gave you some sort of guidance. Again, very unclear. Please take your time to understand yourself, because you deserve that time for you. That's all the questions. Again, I love autistic Q&A. And comment down below any more autistic ideas. I shall see you guys on Sunday with another video. Bye everyone.